Well, she is one of the world's most famous women who seems to have it all. But Ivanka Trump now making a stunning revelation.
With each of my 3 children, I had some level of postpartum, and it was depression. It was very, it was a very challenging emotional time for me because I felt like I was not living up to my potential as a parent or as an entrepreneur and as an executive. And I had had such easy pregnancies that in some way the juxtaposition hit me even harder.
Wow, and that's not all she had to say. Joining us right now with more from that explosive interview he recorded last night will air on Thursday. The host of the Dr. Oz show, Dr. Oz. Dr. Oz, welcome back.
Good morning.
Brian, thank you.
Good for her. Good for her for admitting that, because so many women struggle with that.
Lindsay, it's exactly what I said. And I got to say, she came on to talk about working families, and she's passionate about the reality that when we don't take care of the young among us, they don't grow up to be what they could be. And acknowledging that she had an issue with postpartum depression was her way of saying, listen, I get it. There are a lot of women out there who can't just go back to work a day or two after they have a baby. We are the only developed country, she informed me, and she's right, that doesn't have a paid leave program. So that's important because later in the show when I had her hold the brain, which I had to do, it's a health show, and just to highlight the fact that when the brain doesn't grow if you don't nurture a young child. Right. So when we take away a mother from a child because they can't get pay or they can't hold on to their job without going back to work in a week or two.
But a lot of companies do.
If you make more than $100,000 salary in America, you probably have paid leave. You make less than $100,000 in America, 6% of the women get paid leave. And I'm not arguing for a year off, and I don't think she would either. But I do think that giving folks a couple weeks after they've had a baby, supporting them in a way that every other country does.
I've had a baby. I mean, I was not ready to come back after maybe like 3 months. I was finally recovered where I felt like I could come back. I still needed that extra month because I took 4 months off. Yep. But some of these companies, especially in our industry where women feel like they need to get back immediately, they take like 3 weeks, 4 weeks. I don't know how your body is able to do that.
You're clearly a successful woman, right? Able to be on this great program. Ivanka said the same thing. Everyone thinks I got it all together. I had a problem. I couldn't have done it. So how can we expect women who have a lot of other pressures in addition to what you guys are facing, including monetary ones, go back? It's part of what needs to happen for working families in America. Sure. And I treasure the fact that she put herself out there on the line. She's poised and she was powerful in it, and she was very authentic and saying, guys, I get it. I've been there.
Right. Well, one of the other things you talked to her about is something, and she's introduced some interesting moderate ideas into this particular administration. Here she is talking with you about her relationship with her father. Watch this.
There are some who create a narrative that you should be a voice of moderation. How do you respond to that expectation?
Well, you know, I think that my role, and anyone who works for the President of the United States, their role is to inform, advise, and then ultimately execute. So I'm not the decision maker. I have my views and I share them candidly, and as a daughter I have the latitude to do that, but I also respect the process that my father is now president, and the American people elected him based on his agenda, and my job isn't to undermine that agenda.
She took a breath, and it makes me think that it's getting to her a little, that criticism is getting to her a little.
I don't think so. I got to say, I asked several times about the reality that it's hard to be criticized all the time, even for things you're not really responsible for. I think she spent a lot of time just sort of figuring out this is what life is going to be like for her. This is how she's going to sacrifice to help the country. Not everything that's going to happen around her, the administration is going to be positive. There are going to be times when there are things they can fix. There can be times when there are unfair criticisms, but that's not what her task is going to be. Her task is going to be to push for an agenda that she cares about. She over and over came back to the reality that if she can get working families on the docket, and particularly the issues of women, women in science, we call them Wonder Women, women with equal pay, women who can get time off to take care of their kids, or sick relatives who are ill, then she's actually doing her job. And what she was saying was very interesting if you think about it. She may not agree with what's going down, but the president was elected to do what he believes folks who voted for him wanted to get done. Her job is not to criticize that. Her job is trying to execute. But she does, and I asked her about this, she's the middle child, she said, so she's usually the conciliator. So she'll get her brothers together and her dad and go in there and say, hey, listen, can we just talk about this? Because she has that opportunity, but that's all going to happen behind the scenes.
When she went in, when she and Jared were special advisors to the president, first named about 6 months ago, they made it clear that their intention was every 6 months they would decide whether or not they would continue another 6 months. Are you of the opinion that they are thinking, you know what, maybe we're going to go all 4 years?
I think they could do it. Whether they want to do it is a separate issue. But there's without question. I asked her about having a dual income family. She said, well, she corrected me. She said, we're not actually dual income. We're not taking salaries.
Right.
But the biggest issue for them is going to be the continuing barrage of criticism. But I think
it's nonstop.
Yeah, but the pain probably for anybody, forget about politics. If you've had pain for a few months, you sort of get used to the pain. Mm-hmm. And unless you can elevate the pain, you just keep weathering through it. But they're passionate about. She was pretty clear that she sees it as a service to her country, and that if she has that mantra for the greater good, if she has that mantra and can stop taking it personally, which is hard for anyone to do, that'll be an issue.
After a while, won't our country get sick of the negativity and just? I mean, you can't watch mainstream media without. I mean, even Harvard did a study on this, the 100 days, the first 100 days of the presidency, and they said that most of the mainstream media outlets were so negative toward him, most of the stories. When do we get to a point in our country where we say, we can't do this, even from a medical standpoint, like enough of the anger?
It's detrimental to the well-being of our population. I showed some data that actually Mike Burling polled for us, looking at stress levels in America. 57% of women feel the stress is above what they can deal with. Mm-hmm. So it's a major influence and not a good one for our country.
And you also talked about the opioid epidemic, so that's a very important thing. I know Governor Christie was here talking about that.
Can I say one thing? Actually, I talk about the opioid epidemic, but what the real story is the hypocrisy around medical marijuana. And just real quickly, medical marijuana, people think it's a gateway drug to narcotics. It may be the exit drug to get us out of the narcotic epidemic, but we're not allowed to study it because it's a Schedule I drug. And I personally believe it could help.
I hadn't heard that before. Check out his interview with Ivanka tomorrow on the Dr. Oz show.
It's on Thursday.
Thursday.
Yeah.
All right.
Thursday.
All right.
Mehmet,
Thanks, Dr. Oz. Great to see you.